Welcome to Red-tastic. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for not letting my sister stay with me? My sister S is 31 female. Her husband, brother-in-law, is 29 male. I am 34 female. For background, S fought a horrible form of cancer when we were small. I don't really remember much other than hanging around waiting rooms a lot when I was a child. But it was incredibly brutal for my parents. As a result of her treatments, S has some learning disabilities and has had some seizures off and on. She holds down a job, but she can't drive or live without support. If it matters, brother-in-law has learning disabilities too. This understandably upsets her because she is still 31 and wants to be independent. My significant other and I moved back with my parents in our late 20s to pay back student loans and start saving. We paid rent and did chores etc. around the house. Last year, after many years of saving, me and my significant other saved enough to buy a small house. We love it so much. S was less than thrilled. When I told her we bought the house, she asked if she could move in with us. I told her she couldn't move, but she could visit us. We are near the bus line, whenever she wanted. S threw a huge fit, saying that it wasn't fair that I got to move out because I had already moved out for college and that she and brother-in-law should get the house. Brother-in-law is very non-confrontational and basically hides during her tantrums. I asked her how she was going to pay for the mortgage, and she responded that brother-in-law and I could pay. I said, thanks, but no thanks. My response set her off, and she said horrible things to me. My parents, as always, tried to calm her down, to the point where they asked us not to move. Obviously, we moved out, and have lived at our new house for around 8 months. My mom has come over a few times, but S has not. Last week on the family Zoom chat, S and brother-in-law asked if they could come over after quarantine to see the new house. Sorry, but after how entitled and bratty S acted, I don't want her in my house. I'm fine with going over to my parents, but I don't want her here, especially after she tried to steal from me. My significant other says I'm kind of an a-hole because I should be more understanding. I say I've been understanding my whole life and I should be allowed this one thing. Am I the a-hole? You're not the a-hole OP, but I don't think your sister is too. She got upset and threw a tantrum about you moving out. I'm sure you're sick and tired of having to accommodate her and even give in to her requests, but you have to keep in mind that she has some disabilities. I totally understand you moving into your house anyway, but I would ask you to rethink your sister and her husband visiting. It might be fun, and if she throws another tantrum or refuses to leave, then yeah, you can ban her from ever entering your home again. Congratulations on your new home. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. She's not either. Your parents are a-holes though, because honestly, it doesn't sound like they are preparing her for any level of independence, which she will need when they are no longer around. Even if it is a group home or other assisted living, and they have enabled some of her problematic behaviors at your expense to the point where your relationship with your sister is damaged. Not the a-hole. I'm also a cancer survivor with a sister. My sister has hosted me in her home with her 4 children, and I am an almost fully functioning adult. I raised her kids as a third parent and did the job of a $60K a year nanny in exchange for them paying for every single thing I needed from about 26 to 32. My sister is a boss-ass bitch, and I would rip the moon from the sky for her. I would never expect her to give me a house. I have a sibling with mental disabilities too. You're not the a-hole, regardless of your ultimate decision. However, it's helpful for me to remember that when they're being unreasonable, it's because they literally cannot be the way you want them to be, no matter how hard they try. What I mean is, life is truly stacked against them. So I would give her as much leeway as you can without affecting your own mental health. Maybe that means letting her visit even when you don't really want her to. Or maybe it means taking her out to lunch once a month. Try not to hold her actions against her more than you would a teenager acting out. Story 2. Am I the a-hole? My friend broke my laptop and I'm making him buy me a better model or else I will sue him. I am so mad right now, I literally cannot. So bear with me, please. So yesterday, I invited a few of my friends to my house because I got really bored. One of my friends got my laptop and was making a stupid joke that he is going to drop it and break it. He kept throwing it down and catching it when I repeatedly told him to stop, but he did not. And guess what happened at the end? He didn't catch it. Yep, it broke. Like literally broke. The screen looks awful and the keyboards don't even work properly. I told him that he must pay me for the laptop. It's a 12-inch MacBook which I had for 3 years and cost $1,300. He apologized and told me he will. Okay, here is where the problem starts. I honestly have had this laptop for 3 years and I always regretted buying this one over the 13-inch one, which came at the same price. The thing is, now the 12-inch model can be found at a lower price than the 13-inch one. Since Apple discontinued them, I find it unfair that he will now pay less, so I texted him and told him to instead buy me the 13-inch one at the price I bought my 12-inch 3 years ago. He told me he won't because he broke the 12-inch, not the 13-inch, and doesn't care at what price I bought my 12-inch. I got so pissed at him that I told him if he won't buy the other model, I will sue him. He didn't answer my message yet, but I told some of my friends the story and they said I'm the a-hole. What do you guys think? Edit. Okay, let's play it like that then. He is not legally required to pay me the same amount I paid for my laptop. But doesn't that still make him an a-hole if he doesn't pay the same amount I paid? How am I the a-hole here? Final edit. Never mind, feel free to ignore this post. Issue got resolved. He answered and agreed to get me the 13-inch instead. Haha. He probably just realized how serious I was when I told him I'll sue him. Anyways, thanks for the comments even though you were all against me. Everyone sucks here, OP. Your friend sucks for throwing your laptop around, but at least he recognized that he sucks and he was willing to buy you the PC. Then you suck by adding in that he had to buy you a different, better PC because you think it's fair. No, it's not. He should buy the PC he broke. And if the PC he broke is cheaper now compared to when you bought it, then lucky him. Anyway, I'm glad you've both resolved the issue, but I also hope you let it sink in that you were an a-hole too. Now for some comments. You're the a-hole. Why not take the money he is willing to give you for the older model and put it towards the 13-inch you want? That seems like a pretty reasonable compromise at the end in my opinion. If you go to court with your original argument, you'll be laughed at and made a fool in front of whatever judge has to handle your case. You're the a-hole, OP. Everyone here has told you this, but I'm gonna tell you again. The only thing your friend legally has to do is replace the laptop with the exact same model, including year. It doesn't matter that you paid $1,300 for it. Prices go up and down. And currently the laptop is worth $650. Even if you do sue him, which would be kind of dumb over a laptop, you will not win. And even if you do, you'll get no more than that $600 or the exact same laptop back. Everyone sucks here, but you're more the a-hole than your friend. You got the laptop 3 years ago. What's fair is for him to replace your laptop with the same make and model. Boo-hoo, he'll pay less than you did for yours. Brand spanking new 3 years ago. Boo-hoo. You regret back then that you bought the 12-inch instead of the 13-inch. He would have paid nothing at all if he wasn't horsing around. All he owes you is an exact replacement. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for hiring the less beautiful woman? Bear with me because English isn't my native language. So a year or two ago, I was told to interview for the junior position in our company. I interviewed several candidates, gave them tasks, etc. And in the end, two women seemed to have very similar capacities to get the job done. And it was a coin toss between the two. One of the women was extremely beautiful. As George Costanza put it, I would give up red meat just to see her in a bra. Normally, I was the first point of interview and I would just say yes or no after both their interview and take-home task. They weren't the only two candidates I told yes to. But to me, they were the best two. I think I referred 4 or 5 candidates for the final interview to my boss. I guess my boss thought the exact same thing and he asked if I would prefer either of the two candidates after interviewing all the candidates. I was occasionally going to work with the new employee, so when he asked, I told him the one I wasn't so infatuated with, and he hired her. So after a while, she and I kind of became friends. After the lockdown ended, we went out to drink after work one day, and the subject came to her hiring and that it took a long time to get the final answer, etc. I told her that there were really other good candidates and that's why it was a long process. She then asked me if there were others who rejected the offer or was she the first one to get the offer. I told her it came down to 2 people, but she was the first one to get the offer. She asked what made the difference between them, and I told her I was not sure since I wasn't the final point of decision, but I chose her when asked. She then asked why I chose her. I told her the other candidate was extremely beautiful, and if I had the chance to work with equally competent people, I'd rather not drool after her. I told the story a bit stiff, but the conversation wasn't stiff at all. It was just business as usual. Since then, she's acting very distant to me and not conversing beyond small talk. Am I the a-hole for telling my preference to my boss or to her? I put hiring in quotes because in the end, I wasn't the one who hired her. Now for some comments. You're the a-hole. The problem isn't the choice that you made or even how you made it. The problem is that you shared this information with someone else. This is not information you should ever disclose. Period. Especially not to the person you hired. You do realize that you basically insinuated that you hired her because she was ugly, right? Don't be shocked if you hear from HR soon. You're the a-hole. You sexually discriminated against both of them during the hiring process. And for basically telling the woman you did hire that she is qualified, but you didn't want to have sex with her, so she was hired. You couldn't have just told her she was the first choice. No. You had to tell her it was because she's not as affable. Give me a break. Another good example of how women just can't win in the workforce. You were awful to both these women. You discriminated against one because you thought you couldn't control yourself. And you insulted the other by telling her she was so unattractive you could work with her and not risk being attracted to her. You should control yourself and hire people based on who is the best employee, not who you would or wouldn't think about sexually. You're the a-hole.